God knows I'm trying. God knows it. Pure mind and pure.
So, Dr. Powell, what community outreach do you do here in Wilmington?
Well, I've been doing community outreach in Wilmington since 2002 or maybe even one. I go to the Creekwood community and I minister to the children out there. I've also ministered to the children in the Creekwood, Houston Moore. We've ministered at a couple of elementary schools here in Wilmington. We did like the grandmother reading program, and we also do like food supplies for one of the schools here in Wilmington. Just about every housing development in Wilmington, we have done some type of outreach there.
So, how do you target what areas you go to?
I go wherever there's children. I look for children. Because I grew up and struggled as a child, so I'm very drawn to children. So I go to where I see the greatest need for the children. Children today face a great deal of obstacles that I never had to face. So wherever there are children, you'll find me there.
So, you're doing an international mission trip, which is awesome. I know about your community outreach. How did you go about picking the Bahamas to do some outreach?
Well, I lived at a mission camp for a year. And so I was trained with missionaries from all over the world, China, Russia, India, you name it. These missionaries would come to the mission camp that I lived at, and they would train us and teach us about missions. And we were taught to pray and seek the face of God, and we would listen to the voice of God after a time of prayer, and the Spirit of God would tell us where to go. And so because of our faith, once we would hear the Spirit of God tell us where to go, we would pack our bags and go. And whenever we would go without an assignment, but once we would hit the streets of wherever we went, we would begin to, first of all, minister to people on the street. And then word would reach the people in that country or that community where we were, and they would tell them that there were Americans there ministering the gospel, and so doors would begin to open.
Can you tell me a little bit about some of the ministry that happened last year during the trip?
Yes, after we got settled in, and we went over to the marketplace, and in the marketplace it was just awesome. Our apostle began ministering to the ladies in the marketplace. Some even stopped their shopping and watched and came in and asked for prayer, and the Spirit just fell. It was just an awesome time in the Lord. Afterwards, that afternoon, once we returned back to the motel, we were going out near the water to have lunch, and there was a man working there. He was on the ladder, and my apostle began to speak to him and prophesy into his life, and all he could say is, "Who are you? Where did you come from? How do you know me?" And he got down off of the ladder, and he began to explain and tell Apostle some things that happened in his life, and God just fell. The Spirit just fell. It was just awesome.
So it's all about having a relationship with God and hearing the voice of God, and then if you obey God, His favor will go before you and the door will be open. But you've just got to make yourself willing and available and have the faith in God that when God says go, you just be obedient.
So, you've adopted Yellow Elder Primary School in Nassau, Bahamas, and you're collecting donations to take back over there. What exactly will those donations contribute to that school and the community?
Well, all the donations will go towards uniforms, paper, pencils, but most of all, reading materials. They need books. They have no technology for learning whatsoever. I want to see that school equipped with technology for reading, for learning to read, for language, for math, because each of us we know that technology is the way of the world. And those children have got to be able to use technology if they're going to be successful. So we want to be able to even put computers in the school where they can learn to read from different reading apps. Not just books, but there are many other ways to teach them how to read through technology. But our main focus is that we want these children to have access to everything that will increase their reading abilities.
Can you describe the conditions that you experienced last year when you went there?
Well, the main thing I noticed is that when we walked into school and in the classroom, there were about maybe 40 kids in a classroom. And I didn't see them all with the same book. I saw maybe a few of the same books on the teacher's desk. But I noticed that the kids didn't have books in the classroom. And I also noticed that there were no computers in the classroom. But one other thing that really caught my attention is that right when we entered the school, there was like a little shop. I called it the wagon, the lunch wagon. And the children would go there and they would buy breakfast and they would buy lunch. And I think every child should be able to have a healthy breakfast. So I would love to be able to set up vouchers where those children can go to that food wagon and have a breakfast every morning and have lunch every morning. Because I didn't see all the children come in with lunch bags or lunch boxes or at that wagon, because I know that one lunch wagon could not meet the needs of all the children. And I believe the school, I think they had maybe like 400, 450 students there. So children need to be able to eat properly. They've got to have reading materials.
So what exactly will the donations contribute to that area and the community?
Once we entered the school, I was allowed to meet with the school administrator. And I asked her what were their greatest needs. She said, we need a library. She said, we don't have a library for the kids. And she took us to this mobile unit, and they had bookshelves, but there were no books on the shelves. And she said her main goal was to make sure those kids had a library. And that really, really touched my heart, because kids need to be able to read. We all know that you have to be able to read to be successful. And we want to make sure that those children have that library and have all the different reading materials that they need so that they can be effective readers. Wherever God leads me, I'll go. And children hold a special place in my heart. I've been doing outreach since 2002. I've ministered on the streets. I've gone door to door. I've done the food bank. But I just love outreach. But I know without a shadow of a doubt, I've traveled to Romania. I've traveled to the Virgin Islands, Argentina, London, and I got a lot of other places to go. But I can't do it without you. I need your support. This is my life. Community outreach. Getting the gospel to the nations. It's my life. This is what I do, but I cannot do it without your support. And I have a surprise for you. When you donate $25 or more, you will have access to my first prayer CD. You will be able to download it. You will be able to have me praying in your home, in your car. And we all know that prayer changes things and how effective prayer is. And so I want you to sow, and I want you to get this anointed prayer CD. I promise you, it's anointed and it will change things for you.
God knows I'm trying. God knows all I possess, he knows it. Anointed and protected, I was chosen.